Alrighty, so getting into variators. There are many types in this game. Well, I say many on the fact that, they kind of go up in level sometimes. Because we're looking at program X here, but I just want to show that, you go to, like, say, any one of these exams, you'll see it has increased traps, increased threat, more and stronger enemies, blah, blah, blah. You see limited items. You go here, you'll see limited items tier 2. So let's get that out of the way, that there are different tiers of these variators. Or, well, I'll probably end up calling them modifications, because that's just what I'm used to calling them. But anyways, let's get into the first one, which is increased threat. So increased threat, I believe, has 3 different tiers. Let's see here, because I know it goes to maximum threat. I don't know if that's a typo, but threat. And maximum potential of brutal enemies, or potential population of brutal enemies. So this essentially just is, you get as many enemies as you can on a single map, and they do possibly the most damage you can. Like, usually on this one, like, giants can easily take 3 bars with 1 hit. Like, they're pretty rough. Maximum traps is maximum, and deadly traps just means a ton more traps, like way deadlier. Say, like, you step on a psychosis mine, you will instantly go psycho. No intel. So this one is kind of important. I think we're going to be seeing this a lot in the future. Mostly because, we see the kind of the tier down from here called limited intel, where assignment details are limited in the trial. Now, what this means is that, like, it's not totally gone, but, like, it's harder to find. Like, you got to get really close to the objective in order for it to just, like, pop up. Stronger enemies is just stronger. Like, it's essentially like threatening enemies, but stronger enemies doesn't really add any more enemies into the trial. It just makes them hit harder. Which I guess you can call that a tier of increased threat, but I personally wouldn't. Closed rolling gates. So this one is kind of annoying. It just means it's those gates that you have to lift up, and it can take a while, varying on your party size. Say like 4 to 1, it will always change speed at how fast you can lift them. Extra sound traps is kind of a variation of, deadly traps. And it adds more like cans, dolls, glass on the floor, etc., etc. All that good jazz. And we already went over limited intel. Barricaded doors is additional doors barricaded with planks. So this is doors you essentially have to bash down. There's just more in a challenge or trial, which isn't too big of a deal, especially you have, pharmacy tier 2, which you should be leveling up as we talked about in the previous one, or forward. I don't know. I'm going to see how I'm going to place everything when I edit this, but yeah. Maximum traps. Already went over. Limited intel. Already went over. So, timed gates is a variation of just the gate modification in this game. Timed gates is... You'll see kind of these blinking square lights above the gate. If they're red, that means the gate's not open. If they're green, the gate is opening. Or if they're blinking, I don't know if you can tell when they're going to open. I have not personally been able to tell. But they open when it's green and keep closed when it's red. This, yeah, I was going to say that punish and miscreants, you'll probably see this really commonly. Because anytime you're carrying around a fucking doll, they have a habit of closing on you all the time. And just as, I'll go over maps eventually. And it's all random. All the gate placements are completely random. You won't know when gates will be opened or closed or where they will be. So let's look at this one. Deadly Prime Asset. This is kind of a huge one. This is kind of a big deal. I feel like this is one that people were kind of threatened over for a little bit when they first saw it, but honestly, it's not that terrible. So, Deadly Prime Asset is Coil and Mother Gooseberry. Those are the two only Prime Assets in the game as we, in early access at this time. And you get hit by them, it instantly one-shots you. Doesn't matter what type of hit. You know, they slap you in the back, you go down. They grab you, you go down. Doesn't matter. At any sort of damage, they could kick you, you go down. This with Coil, I will say, is not really that bad, because Coil is kind of easy to escape, in my opinion. Like, I've never had an issue with Coil. Mother Gooseberry feels a lot faster and way more aggressive than he does. But this is just kind of something to, like, keep in mind. I've been in multiple lobbies where people always forget that's Prime Asset. Blocked paths, more blocked doors, and rolling gates. So this can get frustrating, especially on certain maps like the Fun Park. Mostly because, you know, it just RNG paths, and you'll have to go certain ways in order to go through to, say, like, next area or the next quadrant of the map. Gates lockdown. Rolling gates shut down after passing them a few times. So, I'm guessing ×3. I don't really know how this modifier works overall, but I'm guessing ×3 means you can only go through them 3 times, or there's only 3 gates. I'm not too sure on this, so don't take anything I'm saying to a literal sense, because, again, I don't really know. I've personally never had an issue with this. I've never had that much of a problem. Honestly, I barely even realize it, like, exists, any trial that I do have this in. Foster the Orphans will have Prime Asset and locked items. Most items can only be found in locked containers. So, most means, you know, there still will be items, brick bottles all around the map. But a very large majority of, say, like, utility items like healing, antidotes, let's see, like, bigger heals, probably rig rechargers, batteries will be locked in certain containers. Remote control gates is another variation of the gate modification. And some rolling gates can be opened using a control panel nearby. So what this means is that there's just a little lever right next to the gate, and you have to hold it down for a certain amount of time, and it stays open for, I believe, like 8-10 seconds, maybe, somewhere around there. And it counts down, and when it counts down, it will close, and then you would have to do the lever again. It's not too big of a deal. It can be a bit of a hassle if you kind of, like, block yourself in by accident and the door closes while you're being chased. But that's essentially that one. Not too bad. This one, too, I would say is not something to, like, worry about or freak out about. No technical items, in my opinion, might be one of the easiest modifications to deal with. No technical items is just so bad, in my opinion. I don't think that it should really even be a Variator anymore. Because, especially on open the gates, because you're disarming so many batteries that you're getting batteries either way. The only downside is you don't get any rig rechargers, and if you have a fully maxed out rig, it's like, what do you really have to worry about? So this modifier, you see this, it's really nothing to, like, freak out about. Maybe if, like, a map had, like, every door open, no door traps at all, then, you know, it might be a little bit pressured, because then you don't have any way to recharge your night vision goggles unless you use stun rig. But other than that, this Variator, I would literally just look at it and just think it's just the same trial. So that covers that. We're gonna go into now the actual trials, because some of these have very interesting Variators to talk about, especially this one, and especially Grind the Bad Apples, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with and probably dread doing this one. So the first one we have is Increased Threat, more stronger enemies. Then we have something called Thief Loadout. Start the trial with 2 lockpicks and 1 less inventory slot. Most items in locked containers, rigs, cooldown time is increased. So, or I said that so weird. Rigs cooldown time is increased. Sorry. So, I'm going to be straight up with the rigs cooldown rate. It doesn't feel different at all. I don't know if that's because my rig is maxed out. I had a maxed out rig when I did this one every single time. So I don't really see a difference. Because, you know, you're using your rigs for, like, kind of extensive moments, or for, like, perfect setups, or for objective controlling. Where this is kind of, like, what, it probably adds on, like, maybe a minute, maybe a few minutes. I don't really know. I can't really tell because it makes that little of a difference. Now, the lockpicks and Thief Loadout is kind of... It's very similar to locked items. How it says most items can only be found in locked containers, but instead it gives you 2 lockpicked. So, heavy emphasis on the most here, because you read this, and it says again, most items in locked containers. So it's nothing to be, like, really freaked out about. If you have pharmacy fully leveled up, you don't have to worry about that 1 less inventory slot either. It's not really a big deal. Even if it's 2, I feel like it's still not that big of a deal. Especially if you have the pharmacy perk where you can just hold down a button to use an item if your inventory is full. It's not too big. Like, in my opinion, this is probably the easiest out of all these 5 main trials. This is nothing to worry about. Now we're going to move on to the big one. And I think this one is kind of controversial for a lot of people, because me personally, I have not failed this trial once. I've done it solo, and I've done it with a team. As long as you're really safe, you take precaution, you know the map well, you'll be completely fine. So Naked and Afraid is pretty self-explanatory. No rigs, 1 medicine, 1 antidote, and 1 battery. No items in the entire trial. So by no items in the entire trial, it means literally no bottles, no bricks, no healing, no... Actually, which is weird, I have found batteries before. Like, in locked containers, which I don't know... Or not locked containers, but just in, like, those blue toolboxes. I don't know if that's a bug, but... You can still get batteries from disarming also. So, again, batteries isn't really that much of a issue. It's nothing to be freaked out about. And no items in the trial. As it said, you know, again, pretty self-explanatory. Literally nothing. There will be nothing in the entire lobby, except for one thing, and that is the confidential door. The confidential door will still hold healing items, batteries, rig recharges, which is kind of useless because you have no rig that you can use, and it will have all the upgrades, and it will have adrenalines. So, you know, when you really think about it, it's not terrible. I think what is more off-putting, in my opinion, is the no rigs. Having no rig is really, really rough, especially when you've been using it for so long. So then you're kind of thrown into, like, this mixture where, you know, you're forced to kind of play very stealthy, I want to say, or you're forced to, like, just run when you can. And in order to, like, hold down objectives, you kind of have to lead them away and shut a door and then lock it and maybe try to get away that way, or run into a dark room where Night Vision Man isn't and lose him in there. But this one, though, I know a lot of people have issues with. And it isn't something to completely freak out over. Take your time. Be really safe. Use your ears. Know where someone's coming from. Amps and perks are still allowed, so you still have those really big, like, cards up your sleeve right there, especially if you're using slippers for this, or even, you know, certain amps that when you go hiding, it instantly restores your stamina or health, which is really good for this. So amps are kind of a big role for this modification. So if you're feeling that nervous with certain things, you can make a complete, like, hide build with your amps where you can recover stamina and health almost instantly. Like, say you could get hit once by a grunt, not a grab, and then you could go run hide, instantly get that bar back, and then keep running. So, Naked and Afraid, we all know what it is. I know a lot of you hate it, but I don't think it's something to be too freaked out about. So, next one is Don't Make Noise. This one, I will probably say, I find it personally far more trouble dealing with than Naked and Afraid. Don't Make Noise triggers so much, just so many interactions. You could, if you like even run a little bit by a screamer or do anything remotely like tiny by a screamer, they will trigger. Like this is very, to me, like very frustrating, especially in Cleanse the Orphans when you're doing the gens. For some reason, there's a screamer that like sits down there. You could like brick or bottle him just to get him out of the way, but I can't tell you how many times by accident I have triggered that screamer doing the gens. I want to say easily probably like 30 to 40 times, especially because he doesn't leave the like below the trap hole in the basement. He does a lot of just very frustrating things to go through, especially with this modifier. Not to mention, every enemy will hear you like very, very clear as day, no matter where you are. Even when you carry the gas cannon in the basement, night vision guy will hear you. So it's just something to remember to play very cautiously. Slippers helps a lot. Noise reduction helps a lot on this one. So one thing I gotta talk about, especially with Cleanse the Orphans, is the Deadly Prime asset. It doesn't work. So don't be too freaked as of right now in early access. It doesn't work. But that's only on this Project X. I don't know about next season. They could fix it next season. But for now, Mother does not one-shot with Cleanse the Orphans. I don't know why. I was told because they were supposed to have a different Prime asset there. But, again, those are rumors. Don't take anything I'm saying to a literal sense, or if it's factual, because it's not, it's a rumor. So, the final exam of Project X is something I see people either have a really big issue with, or they do it no problem. Maximum traps is, you know, we already kind of went over that. It's just the maximum amount of traps, and they're far more deadlier. Maximum threat is the top tier of the threat perks. This is maximum population of brutal enemies. We already went over these, but just gonna clarify them again. It's gonna add the max amount that can be on that map. Like max grunts, max enemies, max giants, everything in the above will be on that map. Except like Mother or other Prime assets. No intel. Assignment details are absent from the trial. This means you will have zero indication where anything is. What you can do to kind of help this or counter it, you can ping it, so then it kind of sets a reminder for you, and you know where certain things are. But other than that, you would have to physically run over to every body and check its chest to look at the clue for the key. Because it won't tell you, it won't pop up that little question mark to show you where the bodies are. You're kind of just left there to like really search around the map for what you need to do. So there is a lot of like trial knowledge that you need to know, like some placement of things, especially like gas canisters. Although there is more than like 4 gas canisters on a map, or more than 2 on a map, depending if you're playing with or without people. Limited hide spots is pretty self-explanatory. Hiding spots are greatly reduced. This means minimal, no hiding spots at all. Honestly, in this type of trial, you don't want to be hiding. Like, hiding is a bit risky in a lot of sense. I truly prefer, and a lot of people I have speed ran Program X with, we very rarely use hiding spots. We're always constantly on the move and running. There's really no reason to be using hiding spots because a lot of, I don't know if you've ever seen, but a lot of enemies, when they're chasing you, they will almost always check the room you're in for a hiding spot sometimes. And with limited hiding spots, it will narrow it down to almost like one hiding spot, which then the enemy only has that one hiding spot to check. So your chances of being found are going to be a lot more like vulnerable. So you really don't want to be hiding at all, especially in the final exam. If you can, if you got that room space, or if you're using certain amps, go hide for a few seconds, get your bars up, and then book it out of there. Unreliable doors. This is kind of an annoying one. This one is extra barricaded, trapped, and blocked doors. So honestly, extra barricaded and trapped aren't even something to be really freaked out about. Barricaded is just the planks, you can knock them down. Trapped is trapped, you know, you just stay crouched at a door, open it, let the trap go over your head. But what's really important here is blocked doors. So what is blocked doors? Blocked doors means that little yellow metal bars that go around the doors, which means it completely cuts the way off for that entrance or exit. You cannot use that at all, which means you have to go around the map or go around said room and look for a different entryway or exit out, which can be really rough with RNG depending on which, you know, map you're on. I can imagine with Fun Park, it's probably extremely frustrating. Which, let me see, does Exam have? Yeah. So, this can be probably really frustrating for some people because in the points where you're in the games, like doing the games, throwing the hearts, it will focus, like the RNG will focus on different doors on the map. And when it focuses on the different doors, it will sometimes make you have to jump through multiple games and then go through the doors and then jump through another game and then get through that door. So a lot of people get lost. I do some carries for this map specifically to teach some people just because the RNG and the map layout is really frustrating for some people, which I can't blame them. Like, even I get lost still sometimes. Like, it can be very inconsistent as to where you're going. But going back to Final Kill the Snitch, limited items too is greatly reduced items, which, you know, self-explanatory. There's going to be little to no items on the map. Very few. I do not know if this excludes bottles and bricks or not. Me personally, it feels like it kind of does. It probably does, but I don't really have too much of an issue with this one again, because in this trial you at least have your rig, so you can really just push through it. It's not too big of a deal. So you've seen the different modifications. Exams for the basic programs are kind of all the same, if I remember correctly. None of them are too crazy. Yeah, it's just the same. It's just slightly harder. And then you have like trial 3s, which is just a little tinsy harder. Like high density, it's more enemies in the trial. That's it. Not even stronger, just more enemies. Nothing too big to deal with. Extra traps. Trial is filled with extra traps. And then unreliable doors again, which you'll come to see this is probably the most frustrating variety to see on any trial or challenge. Well, I would say for now, that is probably all the variators in the game. I can't think of really any others. They're probably going to add more in the next seasons. But I think next we'll go through probably either talking about different type of maps or talking about amps. Which amps are kind of important, or I might just conjoin amps with pharmacy altogether. So I hope this helped clear some people's confusion. It's really good to always look at these to get an understanding of the trial, because it will help you a lot more. So yeah, we will probably move on to the next video. So thank you, comment, subscribe, and I love you all. Bye bye.